1974. To understand the role.
Those issues.
I think ultimately I'd love.
So going back to how do we, and because that's again where the whip is coming from, we're trying to increase civic engagement. And,
Yeah.
you know, when you decide to run for office, we think that's great. We think it's great that people are jumping in to caring about all these different issues, but it always seems to be happening around the election. What do you think, you know, not just the whip can do, but what do you think? Let's talk about that for a second. How can we get people to care more the way that you're caring about jumping into local politics?
I think we really need to find a way to get out to the public and let them know that their local elections and the politics and the policies that happen locally affect them more than they do at the federal level. And I think there's a misunderstanding there. So everybody gets out and votes for the president. But at the end of the day, the president's policies usually don't affect us the same way local policies do, especially with small businesses. I mean, our small businesses.
People don't realize that, like that there's such a large conversation about national politics, but when it comes to local politics, this is where it's at.
It's incredible because I have some younger people on my team that are in their 20s and late 20s, early 30s, and they had no idea how much local politics affected them. They just thought, oh, well, I just go out and vote for the president every 4 years.
Right?
I'm like, no, it's affecting you when you go parking. It's affecting your tax base when you go into, you know, to purchase things. There's fees that restaurants are paying for. You know, your restaurant fees are sometimes higher because they're paying for, you know, chairs and tables every month. Where, you know, if those fees are low, maybe the food prices would come down. So all these little things that the city's doing that affect you every day, even down to like just parking. So like parking went from 90 minutes to 75 minutes, but that was a way to increase parking tickets so they can increase fees again. You know, so there's all these things that the younger crowd doesn't understand. And I'd love to see the city or, you know, or a group like yourself, you know, engaging with the community in a fashion, in a way that they understand this, that they get that if we worked harder at local politics and local, local politics, that their lives would be that much better.
Yeah. How do you think we deal with people that are haters and that are so divided?
I don't know, there's definitely a lot of haters out there.
I mean, I really believe that no opinion is a bad opinion. I think that there's sides to and they both need to be investigated. And, you know, we're trying our hardest to stay neutral. But how do those two sides come together in a peaceful, calm way?
You would be amazed. Like when I go out and I've talked to people, except for Anderson, who still hasn't given me his address. But you know, when you go out and talk to, you know, most people have the same opinion. They want the same things for their family. They want the same things for their community. And I have found that when you have special groups, a lot of times those special groups polarize their opinions. So, and a lot of times it's just on one issue where they're aligned on 99% of the things, and then this one issue makes it like a deal breaker, which I think until you get people sitting down across a table and talking these issues out, it's going to be a hard one to solve. But I think that we can do it. I think, again, like with your platform right now, if there's more platforms like this, and we are, you know, pushing to engage with the public, especially the younger groups, because you know, I think, you know, most people that, you know, the middle age or retired will vote, but it's your youth that a lot of these policies will be changing their lives, you know, for years to come, that aren't engaged, and we need to find a way to grab them.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's where the whip is coming from. You know, there's so much energy in these younger people, and we want to grab that and harness it. But then we also want to make sure that we're honoring, you know, older generations that have been here and help establish Santa Barbara.
Exactly.
And what it is. So we're really at this juxtaposition and this.
We are.
What do you think about that? How do we do that between the?
Sorry, I lost part of the mic feed. I think we need to work on. What was I lost my train of thought.
Well, you know, talking about how the younger families coming here, and how do we balance it with the established older generation who really created Santa Barbara, this wonderful place. And they made it so wonderful. All these younger families are moving here, and now we're like, what do we do?
we need to be able to engage both of those groups together, because I think a lot of times I feel like you talk to the older groups and they have this opinion and they don't really care about the younger groups, and the younger groups a lot of times are going, well, I only have two choices. And so, and a lot, when they're voting, they always feel like they're, and including myself at times, I'm kind of like, I'm voting for the lesser of two evils, but they're both evil. So I would love to see more people involved with politics, so we have a better, a more colorful choice, because there's, you have Democrats, Republicans, and then there's a lot of in between. But a lot of people just vote Democrat, Republican, and they're not voting for the candidate. They're not sitting down and talking to the candidate or listening to what the candidate's there to offer them.
Would you consider yourself a Democrat or a Republican?
Independent.
Independent.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on our time, but I want to give you the mic and I want you to be able to talk to the people of the 6th district and tell them what you want to tell them and leave them with some closing thoughts.
Okay. Well, number one on our list is to deal with, of course, our homeless issue, which seems to be number one that keeps coming back over and over again. We want to be able to deal with that in a humane way, a way that is with dignity and respect, because, people, especially mentally ill and addiction issues are really hard. And a lot of times they're really hard on the family that those victims are part of. We want to be able to provide services for them, services that will help them hopefully reintegrate them back into the community. I was looking at hopefully working with the city of Goleta and Carpinteria to see if we can find ways to get more of those federal funds trickling down to the city level, because right now the city is using a lot of our local resources, and the feds have already allocated a lot of money to help with these issues. Number two is I'd love to look at affordability for people that live that are living in Santa Barbara, or actually that are they're commuting from either Santa Maria or down Oxnard, because you really can't, if you're trying to make your city green, it's really hard to have a green city when all these people are on cars, usually by themselves, commuting an hour plus every day. I would like to look at affordable housing downtown. We have a couple different ideas. We did look at something, I'm not willing to hang my hat on it yet, we're still researching it, in Aspen, where they were having issues getting workers in. So they did a bond program, and we're able to build many, many affordable housing units to keep people locally. So that's another thing I'd love to see. We also want to work on a balanced budget, which always seems to be crazy when you say that to people, like the city having a balanced budget. But I know, us as individuals have to balance our budget and find out what we can and can't afford. And I think that with a balanced budget, we can find out where money's going, where it's coming from, and make sure that it's going to the right places and it's serving the public that is paying those fees. I want to look at working with the community on all the decisions that, if I make it, all the decisions I make, I want to be working and being accessible to the community that we're making decisions for, to make sure we're making the right decisions. So thank you very much for your time.
Well, Jason, congratulations on your first Instagram Live. We appreciate getting to know you a little better, and thank you for coming on. And we wish you well and luck, and we will continue to watch your campaign.
Thank you very much. I'm hoping I'll get better and better at this.
And we're all for that.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jason. Take care.